When most people are young, they are given a very clear roadmap for life. Study hard in school, get good grades, graduate, find a stable job, work for many years, and eventually you will achieve security and comfort. This path is repeated so often that it feels like the natural order of things. Parents repeat it, teachers reinforce it, and society rewards those who follow it. But when we look closely at how this system works, something interesting begins to appear. The entire structure of modern society seems to guide people toward becoming workers rather than owners. It shapes their thinking, their expectations, and even their definition of success. In many ways, the system is designed to create excellent employees. That does not necessarily mean it is evil or unfair, but it does mean that most people are trained to participate in the economy in a very specific way. They exchange their time, their effort, and their skills for a salary. Over time, this becomes normal, and very few people question whether there are other roles they could play inside the economic system. From the moment children enter school, they begin to experience a structure that resembles the workplace. There is a schedule that must be followed. There are instructions given by authority figures. There are tasks that must be completed within a certain time. Students are rewarded when they follow instructions correctly and punished when they break the rules. They learn to sit for long periods of time, complete assignments, and perform well under evaluation. These are all valuable skills, but they are also the exact skills that employers look for in workers. Rarely are students taught how to build organizations, how to create systems that generate value without their constant presence, or how to think like owners. Instead, they are prepared to enter an existing structure and perform well inside it. When students graduate, the most common question they hear is not, "What will you build?" but "Where will you work?" This subtle difference reveals a lot about how the system frames success. As people grow older, financial realities begin to shape their choices even more strongly. Bills must be paid. Housing must be secured. Food, transportation, and daily needs require a steady flow of money. A regular salary becomes extremely attractive because it provides predictability. Every month, the worker knows roughly how much income will arrive. This predictability creates a sense of stability that allows people to plan their lives. They can sign rental agreements, apply for loans, or support their families because they have documented income. Financial institutions also prefer this structure. Banks are far more comfortable lending money to someone with a stable job than to someone with an uncertain business venture. In this way, the financial system quietly reinforces the worker path by making it easier to access important resources when a person has a regular paycheck. Another powerful factor that keeps people in the worker role is the fear of risk. Ownership almost always involves uncertainty. When someone starts a business, there is no guarantee that customers will appear. There is no guarantee that revenue will exceed expenses. Many businesses fail within their first few years, and this reality creates a psychological barrier for many individuals. A worker, by contrast, accepts a much smaller portion of the risk. The company carries the burden of market competition, operational challenges, and financial instability. The worker simply performs their role and receives compensation. For many people, this trade-off feels reasonable. They exchange the possibility of huge rewards for the comfort of reduced risk. Over time, this mindset becomes deeply embedded in society, making the worker role appear safer and more logical. Responsibility also plays a significant role in shaping people's decisions. Owning something means carrying the full weight of its outcomes. If a business succeeds, the owner benefits greatly. But if it fails, the owner must deal with the consequences. Employees, suppliers, and customers may all be affected by those outcomes. This level of responsibility can feel overwhelming. Workers, on the other hand, usually manage smaller pieces of a larger system. Their responsibilities are limited to specific tasks or departments. If a major strategic decision goes wrong, the ultimate burden typically falls on executives or owners rather than individual employees. Because of this difference, many people prefer the worker role simply because it allows them to contribute without carrying the full pressure of leadership. Cultural expectations strengthen this pattern even further. In many families, success is defined by obtaining a respectable profession. Parents proudly say their child became a doctor, an engineer, a teacher, or a manager in a well-known company. These accomplishments are genuinely impressive and valuable to society. However, They also reinforce the idea that working within established institutions is the primary measure of success. Entrepreneurship and ownership are sometimes admired, but they are often treated as unusual or risky paths. When a young person says they want to start a business, many people immediately respond with caution. They warn about financial instability or encourage the individual to find a real job first. These cultural reactions subtly guide people back toward employment rather than ownership. Time also influences the choices people make. Workers typically receive rewards quickly. After completing a month of work, they receive a paycheck. This immediate feedback creates a strong psychological reinforcement. Humans naturally respond well to systems that provide regular rewards. Ownership works differently. Entrepreneurs and investors may work for months or even years before seeing significant financial returns. During that period, they must continue investing time, energy, and resources without clear proof that the effort will pay off. For many individuals, this delay is extremely difficult. The human brain tends to prefer immediate rewards over distant possibilities, which makes the worker path feel more satisfying in the short term. Another important element of the system is specialization. Modern economies are incredibly complex, and organizations require people with highly specific skills. A software engineer might focus entirely on writing code. A marketing specialist might concentrate on communication strategies. A financial analyst might evaluate numbers and forecasts. Each worker becomes an expert in a narrow field, contributing one piece to a much larger machine. This specialization increases efficiency and productivity, but it also encourages people to remain within defined roles rather than thinking about the entire system. Owners, in contrast, must understand many different aspects of a business at once. They need to think about strategy, finances, operations, customer experience, and long-term growth. Because this broader perspective is rarely taught or practiced in traditional employment, many workers never develop the mindset required for ownership. Another reason the system appears to reward workers is the existence of structured benefits. Many jobs offer health insurance, retirement contributions, paid vacations, and other incentives. These benefits create a sense of security that makes employment even more attractive. Workers know that if they remain loyal to their organization, they may receive promotions, salary increases, and additional privileges over time. Ownership rarely offers such structured guarantees. Entrepreneurs must create their own safety nets and manage their own benefits. This difference can make the worker path feel more comfortable, especially for individuals who value stability and predictability in their lives. It is also important to understand that the system genuinely needs workers. Large organizations cannot function without them. Hospitals require medical professionals, schools need teachers, companies need engineers and technicians, and governments need administrators and public servants. These roles keep society operating smoothly. Because of this necessity, enormous resources are invested in developing skilled workers. Universities, training programs, and professional certifications all exist to prepare individuals for specific careers. These institutions are extremely effective at producing capable employees, which further reinforces the worker-centered structure of the economy. Despite all of this, ownership still exists as a powerful force within the system. Businesses, investments, and assets generate value over time, sometimes even when their owners are not actively working. This is one of the key differences between income and wealth. A worker's income usually depends on continuous effort. If the worker stops working, the income often stops as well. An owner, however, may receive income from systems that continue operating independently. A successful company can generate profits for many years. A property can produce rental income. Investments can grow through compound returns. These forms of ownership create opportunities for long-term financial growth that are not tied directly to daily labor. Because of this difference, some individuals eventually begin to rethink their role in the system. They realize that while employment provides stability, ownership can create additional possibilities. Some workers start small side projects, invest in assets, or learn about entrepreneurship while maintaining their regular jobs. Over time, these experiments can grow into larger opportunities. This gradual transition allows people to experience both sides of the system, the stability of employment and the potential of ownership. Many well-known entrepreneurs actually began their journeys as employees who slowly built their ideas during evenings, weekends, or spare time. Understanding this dynamic can change the way people think about their future. Instead of seeing the worker path as the only option, individuals may begin to view it as one stage within a larger journey. Employment can provide valuable experience, skills, and financial resources. These resources can later support entrepreneurial efforts or investments. In this sense, the system does not completely prevent ownership. It simply makes the worker role the default starting point for most people. Another interesting aspect of the system is how it shapes identity. Many people strongly identify with their professions. When someone asks what they do, the answer is usually the name of a job title. This identity can become deeply connected to self-worth and social recognition. Promotions, awards, and career achievements provide validation and pride. While there is nothing wrong with this, it can sometimes make it difficult for individuals to imagine alternative roles. If someone has spent many years building a professional identity as an employee, the idea of becoming an owner may feel unfamiliar or intimidating. Technology is slowly beginning to change some of these dynamics. The internet has made it easier for individuals to create businesses, reach global audiences, and build digital products with relatively small amounts of capital. Online platforms allow creators, developers, and educators to monetize their skills directly. This shift does not eliminate the worker role, but it does open new paths toward ownership that were previously inaccessible to many people. As these opportunities grow, more individuals may begin to experiment with building assets alongside their traditional careers. Even with these changes, the core structure of the system remains heavily centered on employment. Millions of organizations depend on workers, and most people continue to choose stable careers. For many individuals, this path leads to fulfilling and meaningful lives. They contribute to important industries, support their families, and develop valuable expertise. The purpose of examining the system is not to criticize workers or discourage employment. Instead, it is to understand the forces that shape our choices so that those choices become more conscious. When people become aware of how the system encourages certain behaviors, they gain the ability to think more strategically about their future. Some may decide to pursue ownership earlier in life. Others may combine employment with investments or entrepreneurial experiments. Still others may choose to remain dedicated workers while focusing on excellence within their professions. The key difference is that the decision becomes intentional rather than automatic. In the end, the relationship between workers and owners is not a simple conflict, but a complex partnership that keeps the economy functioning. Workers bring skill, effort, and expertise to organizations. Owners provide direction, capital, and systems that create opportunities for those skills to be used productively. Both roles are necessary, and both contribute to the growth of society. However, understanding how the system naturally guides most people toward the worker role can help individuals reflect on their own ambitions and possibilities. When someone begins to see the larger picture, they may realize that the system is not a fixed path, but a landscape of options. Employment offers stability and structure. Ownership offers potential growth and independence. Each person must decide which balance of these roles fits their goals, values, and tolerance for risk. By thinking carefully about these choices, individuals can move from simply following the system to actively shaping their place within it. And that shift, from passive participation to conscious decision-making, may be one of the most important steps anyone can take in their financial and professional life.